What's up, guys? Sean from Srkcycles, and I'm sitting in my new director's chair. Classic Harley Davidson director's chair. I wanted to show you guys that. And I've got an awesome video for you guys. And it's all about negotiations. And I've done a lot of negotiations over the years. I've probably bought over maybe 200 or 300 motorcycles privately as the buyer. And then as a seller, I've sold almost over 1,000 motorcycles as the seller. So I have a good context of both sides. And just a lot of interesting stuff, and a little different than what you're maybe used to hearing. Test driving everything and anything with two wheels to help you find your next bike. I'm Sean Kerr, and this is Srkcycles. So first, I want to talk about the do's, but mainly, first I'm going to talk about the don'ts. The things you should not do when it comes to negotiating. And it's very important to have a common, for you and let's say the guy buying or the guy selling, they have common grounds. Okay, now I'm talking for this is the point of the buyer. You need to make sure you have a common ground with the seller. When I say common grounds of points, so things that are good common grounds are the condition. We can both agree that bike is a piece of crap, or the tires are bad, or this, or the paint's faded, or something like that, or market value. These are factual things. We can both agree that, hey, according to market value, that's a little high, that's a little low, whatever. Things that are bad, that both people cannot find common ground on, that a lot of people try to use as a negotiating tactic, is my budget. Hey, I'm looking at a $20,000 motorcycle, but my budget's only for $10,000. Can I get it for $10,000? No one cares what your personal budget is. Now, you should stick to your budget. I appreciate that, but also be looking at bikes in your budget. Just because your budget's $5 and the price is $15, the guy's not going to drop the price down. Another thing that's bad is my wife only says I should spend $5,000 or whatever. As a seller, nobody cares what your wife says. It's like, oh man, this guy's wife says she can only spend $5,000, so we have to lose $3,000 on this bike. No one, your wife is not in control of me. You got my wife, you got the budget. Just whatever you're feeling you want to pay, or if you're like, I got a bad feeling about this. That's not a common ground that anyone cares, that the other person really cares about. Another thing is how far you drove. A lot of people are like, well, I drove 3 hours. Look at this bike. I didn't make you do it. You know what I mean? There's some other guy who drove 20 minutes. I'm not going to make him pay more just because it was convenient for him. The more heartache and headache and hardship that you have to go through to get to the motorcycle does not necessarily make it be a lesser price. If you were selling a house and on the way over there my tire broke down and my car broke and it cost me a lot of money, and then I slipped and fell and I hurt my arm, and then I had to drive 300 miles, and then my dad died while I was there, just conveniently, it doesn't mean you're going to give me the $30,000 off the price of the house. It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the bike and the value of the bike. So have a common ground. That's very important. So you're both working on the same thing. Now there's some people who list stuff who sell motorcycles, and they will list, you're looking on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, and you'll see it says the price is way too high. Like the bike should be $12,000, he's asking for $17,000, and he's like, do not waste my time, the price is firm, do not waste my time. I'm going to be very clear, do not waste that guy's time. If you have no intentions of paying $17,000 for the bike, don't call him. Don't do anything. Don't make him a liar. If he's saying 17 and the price is firm, you call him up and he drops the price down to 15. What have we established? One, the guy's a liar. What else is he lying about? So I just don't deal with those people. Now saying price is firm or fixed pricing, or what's very common, this is kind of a common tactic for a lot of dealerships and people, no haggle pricing. What that is that's just them trying to take away your ability to negotiate. They're pitching it as this is a positive, but it's actually more of a negative. We don't say that. No, I'm not saying that we can negotiate on all of our bikes. I'm saying, hey, make us an offer. Make us an offer. Sometimes I will say, sometimes I won't budge a penny on the bike because I know we just got the bike in. I know I got 3 other people talking about it. I won't budge a penny. Other times I'm like, yeah, let's do it. That's a fair offer. That's a fair market price. Let's get it done. Another tactic that you should not do is the whole mystery bike or anecdotal, this other bike that I'm looking at. Let's say you're looking at my bike, it's $5,000, and you say, well, that's not a very good price. I'm also looking at another bike privately for $2,500. And then I would say, well, what year is it? What? Oh, same year, same miles, same this. Now, a lot of times I'll just look it up. Oh, one of my competitors. Or, I'll look it up and I'll say, oh, but mine has 4,000 miles. This has 400,000 miles. That's not really the same. That makes sense. Or if I can't look, if it's not online and it's just this killer deal that this guy's talking about, then what I'll normally say is, well, why didn't you buy it? That's a great deal. And that's a really good, I'll actually push that guy. And because honestly, as a seller, someone's going to buy the bike. I don't really care. I don't care if it's you or if it's this other guy. I just care that you think it's a good deal and that we're all happy and it works out. But to go to a dealership and say, well, I can find this bike some other place, so drop your price, it's not really going to work for anybody. And most dealerships will just say, well, why didn't you buy it? Oh, and then, it's funny the answers you hear, because, oh, I didn't buy it because it was a salvage title. Well, that's why it was cheaper. Don't be a jerk. No, it's a tactic for some people to come in and kind of be aggressive and mean and insulting, like, oh, this bike's a piece of junk and all this stuff. And for a lot of people, for the seller, that's definitely a turnoff. And I know if the seller is a jerk, that's a turnoff for the buyer. So if the seller starts, oh, this bike's a piece of junk and all these things, normally if the buyer's saying that, normally what the seller's going to do is be like, all right, I guess you don't want the bike. You know what I mean? I'll walk back inside and you go home. It's much better to be nice, be kind, be truthful, and be honest. And a seller is more likely to, let's say to give you a couple bucks off if they like you. If you're nice, if you're kind and you've built some type of rapport and friendship. Another thing that's not really a valid point when it comes to negotiating is common issues. Because common issues, unless you've defined that or figured out that this bike has that issue, then all those bikes have that common issue. If you're looking, let's say a 2008 Harley Davidson is being compared to market value to all other 2008 Harley Davidsons, let's say it's a certain, wide glide, then they all have that common issue. So if the bike is priced appropriately for the market and they all have that common issue, you can't go in there and say, well, this one could have this common issue and it costs $800 to fix. The response would be, they all could have that common issue. That's probably why they're all priced to be around that price. So a lot of things you should not do. Let's get into the things that you should do. And I've kind of come up with a lot of this stuff because when I first, probably the first 150 bikes or whatever I bought, I was a real shark. And my goal was to leave no money on the table. If you're not familiar with that, it's pretty much my goal is to get every piece of money out of that deal as I possibly can. If he's selling for $5, and most people don't list the price for the lowest possible price that they would ever sell it for because, why would you do that? You list it at a good price. If he's selling for at $5, but I think, man, I bet I can get this thing for $3. And I'm going to try to get that thing for as cheap as I possibly can and then push them even more. And to be honest, I didn't, when I would leave the deal, maybe I felt good, maybe I didn't, but guaranteed he did not feel good. I may have made him feel bad about it. And it was kind of a jerk move. And my mentality for deals now as the seller and as the buyer is to be, a fair transaction where both parties walk away pleased with what just happened. Here's some things you want to do as a buyer to get best deal, and to prepare for your negotiations. One, do research, know about the bike. The person who knows the most, the person who is most informed about the bike is less likely to get ripped off. Study the bike, no common issues, watch videos about it, just have a good idea of what's going on. And also study the market. Just know the market. You know, if you've been watching about a vehicle or watching about a bike for a couple months, you have a pretty good idea of the market at that point. Now, this is somewhat of a controversial thing, but I'm going to explain why I do it this way. Do your negotiations over the phone. Now, sometimes when you try to do this, the response will be, why are you trying to talk me down? You haven't even seen the vehicle yet. My response to that would be, I don't care. I've seen what you portray the vehicle to be online by saying it's in perfect shape, blah, blah, blah. I'm only willing to pay this much as long as what you stated is correct. He wants to say, I'm not willing to take that much. Awesome. I saved my time. I didn't waste your time. Time is very valuable. So I think it's best to figure out what you think is a fair deal for that bike. And it's very important, especially if you're buying from a dealer, you know, you look at the description, look at the pictures, and say, if it's in that condition, I'm willing to pay this much for the bike. If you're willing to accept that, awesome. And then when you get there, everything's easy. You look over the bike, you make sure everything's good. If everything's good, you buy it, you shake hands, you go home, everyone's happy, everyone had a square deal, and you didn't drive around all over the country, all over the state, all over the county to talk everyone down, wasting your time, wasting their time, making everyone kind of annoyed. Now, if you show up and the bike, you had expectations of, because they stated the bike had brand new tires and it was perfect shape and all this stuff, and you show up and that's not the case. So maybe you show up and, hey, the ad said you guys had brand new tires on this thing. And I'm looking at these tires. These tires clearly are not brand new. These tires need to be replaced. I agreed on $4,000 with the assumption that these were good tires. Now what we're doing is we're basing things off of facts. We're basing, I agreed on this price because of what you said, and what you said is not true, so I'm not going to pay that price. What can you do? And then you know, hopefully they're willing to work with you or something. That's the best way I found to walk into negotiations where both parties are happy, both parties are satisfied. Now, if the seller says, I'm not doing anything about it, I'm happy, I'm okay with lying to you, then just walk away. Kick the dust off your shoes, walk away, go buy someplace else. Now, if they've misrepresented the bike and they say, hey, listen, you're right, that was a mistake on our part, we are going to fix that. Tires cost $400. You know, there's still some life left in these tires. You know, and then you guys figure out something where you both agree upon, then do it. So, you know, like I said before, don't look at negotiations from either side of trying to squeeze out every last dollar from the other person. Look at it as, can I get this bike for a fair deal? And as a seller, can I sell this bike for a fair deal where both parties are happy? All right, guys, that wraps it up. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comments. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, guys.